Rachel Levine has just been confirmed as part of the Department of Health and Human Services. Just getting word of that now. I want to welcome you all back to the Chris Salcedo Show, and this actually kind of dovetails on what we're going to be talking about next. Biological male who identifies as a woman is crowned as Miss Silver State USA. 27-year-old Catalina Enrique made history by becoming the pageant's first transgender queen earlier this month. The win puts this transgendered individual in line to compete in Miss Nevada USA. The news comes as House Democrats rally to pass the Equality Act. Proposed legislation would effectively change the legal recognition of sex in favor of gender identity. Joining me now to weigh in all this is host of the Michael Knowles Show on the Daily Wire, Michael Knowles himself. It's been a long time, my friend. Great to see you again. So first off, if you want to comment on the breaking news, in the context of here we have Miss Silver State USA says that this transgender person win is a celebration of womanhood and diversity. But is it really? I mean, you see everywhere around this country, women's sports under attack by biological men competing against them and defeating them. Now you have pageants where now men are competing with females. Weigh in. What do you think of all this?
A man who believes himself to be a woman is now a senior official in the U.S. Department of Health. That tells you a lot about the present state of our culture. And this is an idea that was previously a very fringe sort of idea on the left, that there's no such thing as sex and men can become women or whatever. Actually, the left had been pushing this gender essentialist idea only very recently, where they said men and women are born this way and women are oppressed by the patriarchy, and some men desire other men, and that's why we need to tolerate a sort of expansion of sexual tolerance. Now we're being told exactly the opposite. We're saying there's no such thing as men or women. It doesn't matter. The left, I think, wants us to hold both of these contradictory views in our minds at the same time, much as George Orwell might have called it doublethink, so that you become unwilling and unable to reason. But certainly a very, very bad state for the country, and a real irony here that in the name of, overthrowing the patriarchy and oppression, we're now seeing men rob women of their sports titles, of their scholarships, and other positions as well.
Right, it almost makes you miss the bad old days when Democrats hated men, and socialists hated men, the patriarchy. And now all of a sudden they're empowering men to go in and defeat women, whether it be in sports, whether it be now in beauty pageants. Men are competing against women in beauty pageants. Sometimes I'm forced to wonder what country I woke up in.
Yeah, it's a really strange thing, and I think that should go without saying that this is a very strange thing. But it shows you something about the left's cultural revolution that I fear too many people have missed. It reminds me of Ernest Hemingway when he described bankruptcy in The Sun Also Rises. They say, how'd you go bankrupt? He says, gradually, then suddenly. And the left's cultural revolution, which I actually outlined in my book, Speechless, which is coming out in June unless it gets canceled, is that the left very subtly, very gradually started to erode our old standards, our old ideas of what is right and wrong and good and true and beautiful. And now it's doing that with great acceleration. All of a sudden, we radically redefined marriage from what it had been defined as for all of human history. That was just about 8 or 9 years ago. Now, all of a sudden, you have the absolute mainstreaming of the idea that men can become women and women can become men. There is no slowing down, and unfortunately, conservatives have been feckless at stopping this radicalism.
Indeed, they have, going against everything that the Bible teaches about these kinds of things, the natural order of things being turned on its ear by people who believe themselves to be God. The left eating their own, too. New teen Vogue editor Alex Mccammond forced to leave her post over controversial tweets she did when she was in high school. Turns out teen Vogue staffer Christine David, who was actually opposed to hiring Mccammond, also tweeted offensive things over a decade ago, but she's not canceling herself. Just hypocrisy over at this far left-wing socialist magazine.
The revolution eats its own. This should really be a warning to people. I think actually you've seen it with the gender issue, because some people who used to be left-wing feminists, all of a sudden when they see men being permitted into women's bathrooms, men winning women's beauty pageants and other sports races, things like that, they've said, hold on, wait a second, I'm out. These are the people who are called the trans exclusionary radical feminists, people like J.K. Rowling. Well, you see this at Teen Vogue too. The people who are pushing this cultural revolution have to be very, very careful here, because there is no end to the destruction. It reminds me of C.S. Lewis in the Screwtape Letters. First time Teen Vogue has ever reminded anyone of C.S. Lewis, where he's describing these two demons who were corresponding about how to win over human souls. And it becomes very clear that the desires that these demons have are to consume, to destroy, never to edify, never to will the good of the other. And you see this, I think, with the left's cultural radicalism. They cancel one person one day, then they cancel the canceler the next day, and they themselves are going to be canceled the day after that, I think.
Old Screwtape. I haven't heard that reference in a long time, since the great Ronald Reagan. And you're right, the ultimate goal is destruction, the destruction of the United States, and they're achieving that at breakneck speed. Michael Knowles, always a pleasure to have you on. Come back soon.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.